Darla Pickett is the hostess, and I will let her introduce everybody.
Okay, Katie, welcome aboard. I'm glad you're back with us.
Oh,
This
I'm
is
back,
really, really
for
cool.
Sure.
She's the one who started all this, so here she is. We're doing a story with a wonderful person today, Fabric Gardens owner. And our panelist that's going to help her move along is Donna Finley, former social worker, former legislator. Chris Perkins, who's the co-owner of Whittemore's, no longer sells real estate, which he used to do, but
No, I still sell real estate.
a good Republican.
I still am.
And Katie Willett, who's been with us forever as a producer of the show. Myself, Darla Pickett, I was a bureau chief at the Morning Sentinel and a former selectman. And Kayla, who's been at the Fabric Garden, owned it for 40 years, selling fabrics and crafts and sewing machines, long arms, patterns and notions and books. And boy, she's going to have a lot to fill us in on. And yarn, and she's going to give us a little bit of history and how she moved into the future.
Right.
So, we'll start with what made you land there 40 years ago?
Okay. Thank you for having me. My background in Maine has been quite a while. I used to vacation up over in Clearwater with my aunt and uncle. Spent a lot of summers here. Loved Maine. I'm originally from Massapequa, Long Island, and enjoyed coming to Maine for summers. A while back, around 1978, my Aunt Maury was getting out of a business and looking to go into another business. At that time, I was going to college, but I had worked in fabrics ever since I was 17 years old. I loved sewing. I grew up sewing with my mother, watching her, and just took to it really well. I love to be able to create something. Back in the day, I went to Catholic school for the first 8 years when you wore uniforms. In high school, I went to a public high school, and the first thing I loved about it was I could wear real clothes. It's like, oh my God, I can wear real clothes. So through high school, every week, I wanted to make a new garment. A new skirt, a new dress. Oh my God, I loved it. So my love has always been sewing. So at the time, Maury approached me, and we ended up becoming a partnership, also with my sister Beth at the time. And we were looking to open a store outside of Long Island because of competition and cost, and looked in the New England area, but eventually landed in Maine, landed in this area because that's the area we knew and we loved. So that was really the beginnings of the store. Now, a lot of people ask about the name, the Fabric Garden. Obviously fabrics. Back in the late 70s, we sold garments. Everybody sewed clothes. So there was garment sewing, there was bridal, there was home dec. So that's really the products that we opened up with. But the garden comes from my Aunt Maury. She was an avid gardener, perennials and everything. So within a couple of years, we made, if you go by the Fabric Garden, we have those beautiful beds, and the flowers come up every year. And that's her history. She loved that. She tended to those gardens literally until the day she died. Unfortunately, I didn't get that gene. I will tell you that right now. So luckily, we have this nice lady, Madison, that does my garden. So that's where the name The Fabric Garden came from, and has been there ever since. So we've been at that location for 40 years.
And during that time, you listed a long, long line of things you've been into and out of, and
yes.
Where.
I like to also go back to 1978, which some of you ladies and men might understand. That we were in a big fat recession. Interest rates were 16%, commercial loans. So, I just coming to this today, people are freaking out at 5%. Well, think about 16% on commercial loans. We had the gas shortage. This was not the opportune time to open a business. I will tell you that. So, but we did, and it was a struggle and very conservative for many years. People sometimes think they open a business and boom. No, 6 to 8 years of really, no employees, working every day, and, just feeding everything back into the business. So that back then, as I said, everybody sewed. So we had garments, sewing. I did classes. I taught adult ed. It's like you do whatever to get your business going. After that, into the mid 80s, we actually 1984 was the first employee that we ever were to hire part-time
Really?
to help out. Yes. Then into the late 80s, people were getting a little more into crafts and things like that for their home. And at that time, you know, I'm a big believer that everything is connected in economics and in business. In that time, we started the big box chains. Okay, we started overseas cheap production. We had dress down day in our business. People did not dress anymore. People did not sew garments anymore. They didn't have to. They could go buy something reasonable. They didn't need to dress up for work. So that dress goods, dress sewing down, what evolved was quilting. Okay? Most ladies did not have to sew. They did not have to sew and make that shirt for their child or, you know, for whatever.
And it began to cost more too.
Yes, it began to cost more and they could buy cheaper.
Yeah.
So that was the changeover. But what also happened is because, and I'm going to just say this, I usually say because of women sewing, that's most of my clientele. We do have a few men, but I usually say, you know, most ladies at that time, they had a little more time to themselves. Their children had gone off to school. And sewing involved into quilting industry. That industry gained because you could go home, you have that love and that sense of accomplishment, which is what most love of crafts or your hobby is. You could go home and tune out the day. You can involve yourself in your quilting. And more importantly, most people who quilt for gifts. It's that sense of giving, that sense of accomplishment. So that increased and became a bigger and bigger and bigger part of my business, but also the whole industry.
Now they're actually like quilting conventions that
Oh, yes.
people go to, and
Yes.
this sounds like a big time thing.
Yeah, it's like, I wish I remembered the actual number, but we're in the billions for industry-wide for quilting
Wow.
as a business.
And good for you as a businesswoman, recognizing the changes and moving with them.
Well, it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing.
I was going to throw in, I've known Kayla for many years, and
Yes.
she's one of my dearest friends, very close friend of the family. And I can remember sitting probably in my living room talking
Yeah.
about what's going to happen
With
when Walmart comes in.
That was a hard
And
thing.
she was really frightened.
Yes, I
But
was.
I admire her so much because she has been able to diversify. She has been able to understand her customers, what they want, what they need.
Yeah.
And she is an amazing businesswoman.
And
What
she's
do you
nice
want?
too.
Thank you.
Well, there they go. End of the show.
And back to that Walmart, you know, that shook
Yeah.
retail. You know, that shook downtowns. And I remember I took a couple of classes they offered for help in this area, you know, and it was always like, find your niche. And I'm like, find your niche. Now it's like, okay, let me go buy it, you know.
Yeah.
But what it really came down to is, I think, you know, is there something you can do that is not offered in chain or big box stores and do it well?
Yep. Yeah.
You know, and thank God, you know, but we were able to offer selection, service, you know, things like that to find that little bit of a niche.
And quality fabric.
And quality fabric, exactly. I mean, yes, there's always a price structure. You know, there is always that person or a fabric that you maybe just want to buy inexpensively. But if you're going to make something, and this goes back to the gifts, if you're making a quilt as an heirloom or you're going to give it, you want that to last. You don't want it to fall apart in 2 or 3 days. To that end, oh, sorry, Katie, go ahead.
Well, you're talking about a quilt lasting.
Mm-hmm.
I have a quilt on a table in my living room that my grandmother made, my great-grandmother made, and in East Madison.
Yeah.
And no sewing machine. It
All
was
hand.
all done by hand.
Yep. Yep.
And it is treasured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
several quilts that were made by the family, but also the East Madison ladies
Mhm.
have made quilts for veterans
Yes.
and presented them at East Madison Days. So
Yeah.
you've got something good going.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
So,
Yep. Back to that little point of Walmart. Part of that niche and part of that expanding or evolving. On our 35th anniversary, we've always had regular fabrics, top quality and things, but we've always had a little sale department. You know, there's always you can always have something on discount or on sale. Well, that began to grow, and in our 35th anniversary, I brought in what's called the corner cottage. If you go by the store, you see that other little building, purple. That's all our regular top quality fabrics that we're moving out, and that's on sale from
Okay.
$2.99 up. So it's always also offering a different price point and things like that.
Sure.
for
and the name
for
of the
area.
building again?
Well, I like to call it the corner cottage. A lot of people call it the sale cottage, but it's a little corner cottage.
Corner
Yeah,
Cottage.
yeah,
Got
yeah.
that, everybody? Corner
Yeah,
Cottage.
yeah. So it just offers a different mix to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I had a chance to last night go online and
Yes,
look at your
yes,
site, and
yes.
it's got a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really's got a lot of stuff, and
Yeah.
it's very impressive. Now, obviously, online has become a big
Yes.
part of what you do. And
Mhm.
when did that start,
Okay.
and,
She's gonna
and
get
how has
there.
that evolved?
Good
Did I
question.
steal your question?
No, that's fine.
No,
That's a
it's a
great
good
question.
question.
No,
So,
that's a good
segue, Chris.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Actually, in the late 90s, my late sister Beth she started making web pages. So we had the fabricgarden.com, we got the website and the domain name and things. And we had a presence, what I call a presence website, information and so on. And we evolved that into a live online website where you can actually buy merchandise.
Wow.
And that really took hold, I would say, around mid 2000s, 2006, 7. And it sounds really quick and easy. Put up a website. Sell online. No. Thank God for very good help and people. My sister Celia, the ladies at work, they have talents. I don't have the talents. We are a good mix of getting everything done. So in that area, we went and brought in products. And the reason why this started in a lot of ways is we at the Fabric Garden, I feel we're a destination store. Our average customer comes an hour and a half to our store.
Wow.
So we pull from all over the state. Last Monday was Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yes.
By noontime, we had 5 sets of Canadian ladies in shopping.
Oh.
It's like,
Wow.
I'm like, wait, what's going on today?
Yeah.
What's going on? And then finally I asked somebody, is this a holiday? And they said, yes, it's Canadian
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, so they've down and back. So long story short, it was that people traveling through on vacation, I want to, what else do you have? I want to see your things. So we brought it for 2 reasons. To market to our customers in Maine. So you're down in Ellsworth and you want to know what kind of flannels are in stock. Well, they can go online and see. Do I want to go to the Fabric Garden? Do I want to place an order? So it was also to approach our customers we had, but also other customers.
Well, and you have people come really from at least all over New England
Yeah.
that have ordered. That's when
Yeah.
they're traveling, come and
Exactly.
just to stop by.
This summer we saw a big influx of people that we've shipped. So we have probably 2,500 different fabric choices online, along with a lot of other stuff, notions, patterns, some machines we can sell. So you're out in Kansas and you've ordered from us and you like our stuff
Yeah.
and you're coming into the New England area, they'll come up and shop. So
Yeah.
it's one of those back and forth things.
You must have met some really fascinating people.
Oh yes, yes,
Yeah.
very fun. We actually keep a little map with pins, of where everybody was from, like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
if your average customer is traveling an hour and a half to get to you, they're probably pretty serious
Well, they
people,
are.
I would say.
Well, she
Yes.
does a huge business in Aroostook.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's, if they haven't, they might. The quilting community is a very small community. very niche community. You know, you might quilt while you're online with your friend down south. Oh, you got to go to the fabric garden. You know, so it's also that referral thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also the exposure thing and reputation. You know, I got to say that falls into it too.
Well,
But-
and you also travel.
Yes, I do.
I mean, she does a lot.
Yeah.
When you did a show,
Yeah.
you said last night in
Yeah,
Kingfield.
yeah. I was a guest speaker up at Kingfield with their local quilt group. So
Oh, okay.
went up and showed our new things and then talked a little bit about, you know, machine maintenance and things like that. So I like to do that too.
Then you go to Rustic fairly
Yeah.
often.
Yes, yes.
Now,
yeah.
with these ladies from Canada, next year you'll probably think ahead of, and you'll send them a little note or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I like to think, Chris, about this the internet. Retail, you always had a product mix, right? You opened a store, you had to have the right amount, hopefully, the right amount of this fabric or this notion or this product. Now, we don't have a product mix, we have like a marketing mix. You have to have, again, back to that niche or making a business work, if you can. We've been successful and hopefully will be successful in having the retail store that a person comes to and then the internet store, because it really is a store and it takes as much work to
It
do a
is.
store.
Yeah.
So to be able to have that internet store with bringing product in, we're working off our 10,000 bulk inventory of the retail store.
Can I
Okay?
ask a quick
Sure,
question?
Sure. I tend to talk.
No.
Let's just go there.
But
We brought you here to talk.
I'm asking this for probably mostly male audience
Right.
who doesn't probably know what a bolt is.
Okay,
So,
so
yeah.
if you ever, you know, went into a fabric store or been in a department with a fabric store, that piece of fabric that's wrapped on a cardboard bolt.
Okay.
So one piece like that you take out to cut, that's a bolt.
That's a bolt.
That's a
okay.
bolt.
And how much does that
15,
hold?
15 yards is the average bolt. 10,
Okay.
10 to 15 bolts, yardage on a bolt. And then you
Okay.
magnify that by the amount of bolts. So
There we go.
there you go. There you go. Yeah. So I just think that mix of internet exposure and also the help. So I can look at it and say, okay, let's look at what's sold online. That might be stuff that I don't now normally buy for my regular everyday customer. But because I'm buying it in junction with internet, I'm offering my customer a newer mix that they might not have seen. So the two work together
Okay.
really well,
Okay.
really well. If we're on the internet line, if you don't mind, I'll just also say part of that other product mix with online is Instagram, Facebook,
Oh, yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
It's the way you gotta go.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got to be
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
And again, thank God for wonderful ladies that help me. They do that. But one thing I like to do, and has helped quite a bit, is I do videos.
Okay.
Ah.
And they're excellent.
you know,
the first one maybe not quite
No,
so good.
exactly.
And
The
now
first-
you really do a
So
really good
these
job
are like
with it.
tutorials? or-
yeah, like
okay.
in the beginning ones, like Donna says, I was a little
Well,
nervous.
she was stiff. I mean,
I
you
was
could
stiff,
tell you were nervous.
right.
Yeah.
Now it's funny. I say, Celia, come on. Pre 9 o'clock, we lock the doors. Celia's got the phone, and I go. You know, and
Okay.
and view them. So some of them might be an event we have coming.
Okay.
Some of them might be look what's new. But my most popular ones are instructional videos.
Okay.
So one in particular, might not mean much, but there's a new thing to do with quilting. It's called a jelly roll rug. And you use little strips of fabric and batting, and you sew them together, and you literally are making just like a braided rug out of
Oh,
fabric.
really?
And it's great. So that first came out, I said, I'm going to make that.
I bet I could do that.
Yes, you could. Yes, you could. So
That sounds easy.
yeah, and it's good looking, you know. And I
Yeah.
said to Seal, let's make a video. So I had all the fabric ready by the machine and talk. 84,000 views on,
Wow.
on YouTube.
Wow.
YouTube, I was
On
gonna
YouTube.
say, yep.
So our videos go on our online, on our website, and then Celia puts them up on YouTube. I mean, that's amazing.
That
They're
is.
not all like that, but it's like one of those things. And then what happens? People see it. They go online. They buy the product.
Sure.
So it's that triangular
Yeah.
mix. So, and it's now I enjoy it. It's fun, you know.
Yeah.
You know, people know me. I don't want to say, you know, I could be just about anywhere, and people, wow, Kayla, hi, how you doing? I know
Yeah.
you. You know,
Yeah.
and so it's that
Yeah.
face. It's the face of the fabric garden.
Absolutely, and you may not know them from a hole in the
No.
ground.
Right.
No,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, isn't that?
So
interesting?
it's that. If somebody would have said, I always think, I was thinking a lot about this before coming here today. You know, the beginnings with Mari Beth and I. You know, if somebody would have told me where we are now in this industry, I would never have guessed.
Mm.
You know, this was strictly, you know, people come in, you try to market, you try to get people in. It's such an interconnected world now.
Oh, it sure is.
Yeah.
Because
With
of the
anybody,
internet.
with
Yeah.
the internet, like that.
I used to go there for yarn. That's how
Right.
long ago I used to
Right.
be your
Right.
customer.
Right, right.
I don't know about the quilting business.
No, that's okay. And you know, everybody says, "Do you think sewing will come back?" And I say, I never say never, because who would have guessed where we are?
Yeah.
But you know, quilting's very strong.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
for sure.
So
for
what
sure.
percentage of your business would you say comes from internet related?
Not much.
Really?
Not much right now.
Okay.
Right now,
Okay.
you know, it's building,
Yeah.
and it's a slow go. It's
Yeah.
a good addition. 5%.
Okay.
5%.
I
Yeah.
bet that will increase over time.
Right, but that 5% of this business, the tough thing to quantify
Excuse me.
is that 5% of actual dollars. You don't know what else it brought in to the retail.
Yeah.
See, because they're so mixed together. So it's interesting.
So you said you had Instagram, YouTube, and what was the third thing you mentioned?
Facebook,
Facebook.
Excuse me.
Facebook. Facebook's good to throw things out there, you know, and you know, like if we get in today, whatever comes in the door today, you pop it up there, people see it,
Yep.
and then it goes online. So it's just that exposure.
So where do your videos show?
The videos we have on our Fabric Garden page, fabricgarden.com. Celia has a video section that you can go through all of them, or also they're on YouTube. Search Fabric Garden Madison, Maine, and they'll be right there.
Well, you may not have that many people buying over the internet, but there may be a lot of people that get their initial exposure to you
Exactly.
from the internet and then come to your place.
Exactly.
Because I would think your business is still like, you know, I want to be there and see
True.
it and touch it and
True, and that's
you know.
where that beginning of
Yeah.
exposure of like quilters in Maine, that's what we really were after. So they could, you know, if you're 3 hours away, I want to see at least visual what's out there. Yep.
And you haven't even talked about your machines yet.
No. Okay, so
Yes.
let me give you a little history on machines. I was thinking about this the other day. I remember it had to be the Christmas. We opened in May of '78, so that was our first Christmas.
Mhm.
The second one, '79. I remember this gentleman. I love to work Christmas and Christmas Eve. Gentleman came in and he says, "I'm looking for a sewing machine," and obviously I was like, "Oh," I said, "We don't have any sewing machines." And after he left, I thought, "Wow, could you imagine? Could you imagine if we could sell sewing machines?"
Yeah.
You know, back in the day when there was not a lot of inventory or sales, I thought, wow. Well, that kind of stuck with me. And luckily around, things happen. You get a little, you know, you have a little inventory, money, whatever. 1984, we became a Janome dealer. Janome is a Japanese company.
Yeah.
And, you know, we sold a few machines. And we'd sell machines. We would give free instructional lessons. We would have a factory authorized serviceman. So we kind of nurtured that business.
Mm.
And like anything, your reputation built. We did shows, like Donna said, we do big quilt shows with exposure and things like that. I would go to training and lessons and support, and kind of treated our machines the same way we do all our other basic sales in a sense. You know, it's very personal. It's very one-on-one. We want you to have what you want or need, and we want to be there to support you. So over time, we have grown.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very proud to say we are in the top 25 dealers in the country
In the country.
out of 725.
Wow.
All right, so
In
that's
Little Madison, Maine.
Right,
I
and-
think that is the most incredible thing.
yeah. So the other part of we had machine. Thank you, Donna.
You're
But we-
welcome, dear.
yeah.
You can tell I'm very proud of
Yes.
you.
yes. So we've, and the other thing is we're lucky enough to change. We have a product line, over 25 machines in store to buy, and we have them in the store, which is another important thing. It's not like you come in and come back.
You can
I'll
see
order it.
Every one of them.
Every one of them. And my stock is either in the store or I back stock in another place. So
Now-
I have machines available.
Now these machines do lots of functions.
Right,
I was
right.
looking at them and
Right,
they're
right.
number of cross functions and
Yes.
they're computerized
Yes,
ones and
yes. Yeah,
all
most
this
of
stuff.
most of them are computerized at this point, but they'll go from like $200
Yep.
to a lot of money. A lot of money.
Well, tell us what's the top end one?
Okay, so the top end is what's called a combination machine. It's a machine that would sew,
Yeah.
quilt, and machine embroider, which is a whole nother area.
Yeah.
Like if you have shirts that have the logos or that you want to put something up, that's
sure.
that's machine embroidery.
Okay.
They're also, this particular machine is also Wi-Fi compatible, which means the machine is Wi-Fi. So if if your machine is embroidering here, you're down in your sewing room,
Yeah.
and you're upstairs on your iPad, you can follow it along and know when the color changes go. So the machine itself is Wi-Fi.
Isn't that amazing?
Right. So those retail for around $12,000.
Yeah,
All
okay.
right.
Yeah.
But we sell them for $8,000. We always do everyday discounted prices. That's something I've done forever. I don't sell retail. I discount machines every day. You're coming in, you're gonna get a nice price.
So chances are not many people come in and write you a check for $8,000
No.
or
No.
put it right on the credit
No.
card. It must be a financing plan.
We do finance. We finance through Synchrony Financing,
Okay.
which is the big player in financing.
Yeah.
We always do everyday financing of 6 months, 12 months,
Mm-hmm.
and then particular times we do special financing. We just ended this past weekend a 60-month interest-free financing.
Well,
So you want that machine, Chris? You want to bring that machine home for your wife? I can do that for $200 a month.
a mere $200.
A mere $200. It's top of the line. But now where this also
She
goes.
already bought one from you.
I
by the
know
way.
she did. I know she did. Now, where this actually is another part of sewing and quilting and machines is we sell what's called long arm machines. Now, you're a quilter. You've made your whole top.
Yeah.
You got to put that whole thing together. You don't want to lay it on the floor and pin. You don't want to lay it out on a table and have it sag. There is a professional 12-foot, imagine a 12-foot frame
Mhm.
that your fabric lays on that has an 18-inch head, or sewing machine with an 18-inch head, and you're working the head, not shoving the fabric through the machine.
Oh, interesting.
Okay? And this head is actually what's called stitch regulated. So as I move my machine, my stitches stay nice and consistent. Okay, so that's what's called a long arm. We do have quite a few people that come in. and most times they finance, but
Okay.
every now and then, we give a cash discount, which is legal now,
Yeah.
to allow a cash discount
Yeah.
on checks or cash. So the other
Yeah,
thing
it
there is now, years ago it wasn't.
That's right.
Yep. Now we also, within a distance of the fabric garden, we set these up in your home.
Okay.
So you're not getting boxes in your house. We set them up in your home, make sure
Nice.
they're perfect. We do the lessons. So anyway, that's another part of the machine business.
And there was something, I remember you told me when I interviewed you several years ago, some man came in, you special built something for him. Am I wrong? Am I remembering it wrong? He came in, a man, and wanted something from you, and I remember that. I was amazed that it was a man. Does
Okay. I don't recall, doll.
You don't, okay.
No, I don't recall. Yeah. So I don't know.
But you have had men come in.
Oh
on
yeah,
sewing
we
machines.
do. Oh yes, we do.
Yeah.
We do. We
Well,
do.
and you run your business like people years ago ran their business
Specialty.
because you provide service.
Yes.
Exactly.
You provide training.
Right.
So if I buy
She
a
smiles.
machine from a big store,
Right. Right.
I'm going to get it in a box,
right.
and I'm going to have to figure out how to work this
Right.
thing.
And when
And you will go too. That I mean, that's
Yeah.
an amazing service. It's
Mm,
wonderful.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, those boxes, when there's a problem, are sent back to wherever.
Right.
So I'm very proud of our machine dealership. We have, it's like step by step, you know, and I might not, this might sound funny, but if you asked me how many machines I sold, I couldn't tell you. I'm not that way. I'm like, I want to sell the machine that's right for the person, you know?
Excuse me.
And I'm not going to say, oh my God, I gotta sell 5 more machines this month. I don't do that. I don't, my instinct is to always offer try to find out what the customer needs and don't oversell. There always is an ability to trade up.
That was what I was just gonna ask
We've
you.
always done that. You know, if somebody comes in and they, you know, yeah, they might like that $1,000 machine, but that's way the heck out of what they're looking for. But yes, you want to start here. We trade up. So we do that all the time.
Yeah. What you give out comes back to you.
Yeah, you know, and I've got to say, you know, I've learned
Excuse
there's
me.
been hard times and learned some lessons, you know, and as there's that old term, eat crow, you know, and you have to take everything in and say, okay, you know, maybe I didn't do that quite right, and hopefully apologize and, you know, move on. So
The
it's
other
that
part
learning.
of the service that you provide is if a machine has something wrong
Right.
with it,
Right,
they can bring the machine
Right.
to the store,
right,
and Kayla will find someone to service
Right.
it or service it herself.
right.
So that's another real
Right.
big thing.
Yeah,
And
it's-
machines still apparently get serviced.
Oh yeah,
Not much gets serviced
Yeah,
anymore.
I like to up in Kingfield last night, I was showing them their basic maintenance that they can do. But I always say, you need to have your machine serviced once a year. There's places we can't get to. You know, you're clogging up. Amount of thread and batting go through that machine. So we can service machines with a factory authorized service person. And if you purchase from the Fabric Garden, we loan you a machine while yours is serviced.
Oh
Nice.
my.
Because,
Nice.
you know,
Oh
that
my.
started with, oh my God, it's Christmas. I gotta, you know.
Yeah.
But we probably have 7 or 8 machines in rotation that go out as a loaner like that. So
Good.
that
That's
works.
a nice service
Yeah.
to have.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is.
Really.
Yeah.
See, that's something that distinguishes you from Walmart or
Yes.
you know,
Yeah,
other
I mean,
company,
she
you
sells
know.
service.
Yeah.
That's right, and that's
Which
the
doesn't
key
exist
thing.
anymore.
That's
Right.
the key thing is to have service. Now you have just come off your 40th
Yes.
anniversary,
Yes.
and what types of celebrations and specials and so forth did you do?
Oh wow. So we ran like a 2-week promotion, like a Saturday through the 2 Saturdays. God, let me think back. That was May. I think our grand prize drawing was a $400 gift basket.
Nice.
I think it was either that or the year before. We had sales, obviously sales going on. A lot of events throughout the weeks. And Chris, unfortunately, I can't remember, but
That's all
we
right.
had different events going on. Like one Saturday there was like Janome Day.
Yeah.
So it was extra value on Janome and Janome parts and demos. We did a lot of demos like that. Yeah. So
Didn't you also had some drawings?
yes, we
Because
had.
I know you did a weekend at
Oh yeah,
Greenville or
Sky Lodge.
something,
Right.
yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
yes,
yes.
yes.
We offer. Yes, that's right. Thanks, Donna.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
We did. We gave away weekend quilt retreats up at Sky Lodge.
Okay.
Which up in Jackman.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was like that.
You know what I sense is a generosity here, and you know cheap never gets you anything more but cheap.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
cheap goods, cheap
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Generosity and caring about your ladies. You
Right.
said
I
it
do.
brings you.
Yeah.
It comes
Um,
back.
Yeah, I think I'm going to answer that in 2 ways, or comment on that in 2 ways. The first way is business. Obviously, we as the Fabric Garden support this quilting industry amazingly, as much as I can say. Maine Quilts is a state quilt show in Augusta, in Maine. We're the platinum sponsor. We sponsor over $12,000 of that event.
Wow.
Then we have a 34-foot booth that we take, that's kind of crazy, but we have a whole booth and things like that. So, and we donate within our community. I think that's important, you know, and that is back to the goodwill, but fortunately, we're able to do that. The other part is I really value my ladies. I call them my ladies 'cause, well, I don't know. but because we work together, we work well, and we have gotten to this point at the Fabric Garden because of that. This is not all me, and I really value that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're also very generous in donating to fundraisers.
Yes.
And
yes.
you may have said that a minute ago, but
yeah.
I'm broadening it a little bit
Yes,
because
yes.
you do give lovely quilts
Quilts and
usually
things,
as
yes,
gifts, which
yes.
people love and
Yes.
bid on.
Yes.
I think of the hospice. And,
Yes. Yeah, hospice has been
different
a good one over the
fundraisings,
years.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're gonna start sewing quilting?
I don't know.
You
But
would-
my wife does.
Yes, she does.
Yes,
she
my
does.
wife does.
Katie
you
has
were
a
saying you
question.
had men that do buy from you.
We do.
But you
That-
said he bought a bigger one for some reason. I wish I could remember more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you do have men.
Yeah,
What kind of
yeah.
machines do they buy?
Very well. I guess I can answer it this way, and this is going to be almost sexist. But I'm just going to say it.
She's not sexist. She
I-
doesn't mean it that way.
No, but
Sewing
okay.
machine for dummies is what.
No. What I was going to say is, a lot of times, if men are sewers, they're very technical. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Think of cutting, quilting fabric with the rotary cutters and everything, very close to woodworking.
Okay.
I see that correlation a lot.
Oh.
So the precision of, back to the computerized,
Okay.
when you have a computerized or an electronic machine, you have more precision
Yeah.
than mechanical because you
Right.
can adjust and things like that. So the upshot answer is very much more precise, more precision,
Interesting.
and
Okay.
also quilters want space. When you're putting a quilt through, not on the big long arm, but putting a quilt through, you want a bit of space. So that neck area
Okay.
or that arm area.
Do they choose different designs than women?
I don't know.
You don't
Because
see the
I
designs?
don't
Don't
see the
see the-
finished
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Katie?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of my grandmother and her treadle machine.
Uh-huh.
You've come a long way, baby.
Yes. Yes.
I
Hey,
sewed on
listen,
a treadle.
I have a treadle machine, a new home, because Janome, Janome used to be New Home. New Home started in Orange, Massachusetts in 1860. And I found a treadle machine, New Home, and it's like, I love it. I'll never use it, but I love it. Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you, I used to use that treadle machine
Yeah.
Me too.
until I got an electric one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I sewed for my daughter, who is dreaming of retirement now.
Uh-huh.
But she went to Madison School. And that's back in the days of common pins. I don't know
oh,
whether
yes.
you use them or not
Oh,
anymore.
yeah. Yep.
But I said, why were you singing and doing this with your shoulder? I left the pins in one sleeve.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
I started on a treadle machine, and actually they were real solid
Yes,
product.
they are.
Yeah.
Yes, they
They're
are.
real solid and
Yeah.
very ingenious.
Yes.
Is Singer still in existence?
That's
Very, not a lot, Chris.
That's what my wife, her dad.
What was
she,
the question? I didn't hear it.
Well, is Singer still in
Singers,
existence?
oh, okay.
And my wife kind of took to sewing when she was a young
Yeah.
lady, and her father went out and bought her a Singer sewing machine. So
Right.
this probably would have been in the 1960s, late 60s or 70s, and it cost $300 at the time, and this was a pretty big ticket purchase for him
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do that. But she kept that sewing machine at work for what, 40 years, and then until she bought a
Yep.
Janome
Yep.
from you, it
Yeah.
finally failed.
Yep.
Mine was a Singer. My
Singer,
treadle.
yeah. So
And my current one's a Singer,
Yeah.
actually. Old in the Hills.
so it still exists, but it's
I
not
think,
a big.
and I think
yeah.
what's happened with a lot of companies, they've been bought and sold,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
quality might not be,
The same,
you know.
Yeah.
So it's
Is
just.
Janome like #1 now, or?
Janome is right up there.
Okay.
They're the #1 manufacturers of
Okay.
sewing machines in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where
Yeah.
are they manufactured?
Japan. They
Japan.
make and manufacture their whole from beginning to end. They're very good or bad, but for back to the precision, a lot is robotic. Their
I'm
factories.
sure. Yeah.
Putting that together. Yeah.
Now, what did you say about Massachusetts being part of the Genome?
New Home was the original company in 1860
Oh,
out of
okay.
Orange, Mass. And then Janome bought them, and now it's Janome. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So, kind of interesting.
It is,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the only way in which you're international.
Um,
Your cloth?
okay, so let's talk about fabric. This is interesting. Most fabric is printed overseas. Okay, back in when we
Wow.
when we the 60s, 70s, we had fabric plants in this country. We don't anymore.
Mhm.
Is
Very, very
Textiles
limited.
gone.
Textiles
Yeah,
gone.
it is.
We can see it all
Textiles
over the
gone.
place.
Yeah.
Now, there is an increase in cotton production in this country.
Mhm.
Okay, so the cotton is grown here, it's shipped overseas, it's printed overseas, it
Mhm.
comes back to us.
Okay.
You know, so that's kind of what's happening. The fabric itself is printed in different ways.
Mhm.
The traditional way of printing is what's called screen printing.
Okay.
It's think of this flower has 5 colors. The fabric's laid out on a whole big roll, and the first roll through would be like the yellow, and the next color or run is going to be darker yellow,
Okay.
and then brown. So screen printing, that has been the history of fabrics. And if you look on that selvage or the edge of the fabric, you see these little colored dots.
Okay.
Those colored dots are the colors that were used in each screen.
Oh, okay.
So some prints have 7. The maximum amount of colors you can get in a screen print is 16.
Okay.
That's as many times as it can go through.
Okay.
Interesting enough, back to the digital world, in the last couple of years, we now have digitally printed fabrics.
Yeah.
Now, what's really cool about that is the designers can sit at the computer and they have infinite number of colors, infinite number of detail. Then the fabric, mostly it's about 44 wide, is fed through a digital printer.
Okay.
Think of a printer
Mm.
in a huge room,
Mhm.
and you're printing fabric.
It's really hard to get your head around
It
all
is,
this
isn't it?
stuff.
But it
Yeah.
is it's unbelievable the detail and the color
Yeah.
that we have. So now digitally print, and the other advantage is when we do the old-fashioned screen printing, one run of fabric is 3,000 yards.
Mhm.
Okay, so a company has to commit to one print, one color, 3,000 yards.
Okay.
Digitally printing, you can go down as much as 500 yards.
Wow.
So, a lot of ways it's better for the company
Yeah.
and gives, when I buy fabrics, I have more choices because the turnover is better.
Is that lots more expensive than the way
Oh,
we used to do it?
It was in the beginning, when it first came out like anything, it was a little bit more expensive. Now, as the cost has gone down, it's being used, and there's more and more companies with this, it's a little bit more expensive, but not much. But I tell you, back to people making something that they love and want to give as a gift, if I were to show you one print here and one print here, the love of that print is going to offset the price.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
oh my God, that's perfect, I love it.
Mm.
Yeah.
You can see that much difference between it.
Wow.
So that's a pretty cool,
Amazing technology. It's just
Yeah.
it's hard to keep up with all this
Yeah.
stuff. It really
Yeah.
We
is.
just need to learn to make people put the cell phones away when they're talking.
Yeah.
But other technology I love.
yeah, yeah.
Now you
Yes.
do you sell rugs too? Like
No.
You don't do that.
no,
Oh.
no, no,
Yeah.
no.
Where did I see
Just-
that? I made
You know what on our website? You
Yeah.
probably saw my jelly roll rug. Chris.
Oh, okay. That's probably what I saw.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because we have the picture of that and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a craft, what I call a crafty quilting, but
Okay.
it's been kind of interesting. Because that idea of that rug also turns into placemats or runners
Okay.
or what's called mug rugs. So
Okay.
one thing can be a lot of
Yeah.
things.
What's a mug rug?
A mug rug, okay, you have a cup of coffee and you want to put on something, It's a little mug rug because you're putting your mug
Like a coaster.
on a rug, like a coaster,
Oh, okay.
like
yeah.
a coaster.
Gotcha.
Right. So that's fun.
That's
yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
And
Kind
you,
of.
do you still sell notions?
Yep, we do notions. The other notions and patterns. This is interesting. Pattern is obviously what you get to learn to do or cut out. So it's the pattern is the tool you use to make your product.
So you use a pattern for quilting.
Yes.
Like you used to
directions,
for sewing.
directions, correct. Like, remember we had the pattern, a simplicity pattern
Yeah.
for a dress. Now there's a pattern for quilting, for the quilt pattern. We make a lot of those. We design a lot of those at the Fabric Garden. So we
Okay.
come up with, like just recently for this fall, there's some beautiful striped fabric, beautiful. And I said, we want to make a runner, but we want to make it with mitered corners. And that pattern wasn't out there. So we actually designed it, wrote it up, and now we sell that pattern.
What's a miter corner?
Miter corner? It is where a stripe would come on an angle.
Mhm.
Okay.
Like, well, yeah, like it would be on like a diagonal 45-degree angle on the end of the corner.
Okay.
So it's kind of cool. But anyway, it's just one of those things that sometimes we make our own stuff too.
Now you have like seasonal products, right? Or seasonal patterns, or
Yep, we definitely do.
for the holidays, for
Yes,
Christmas, so
yes.
forth. Yeah.
We just last Saturday had our fall open house.
Okay.
It was very fun. Had a lot of people, and the whole back area I draped with black draped fabric and put all the wall hangings like the Christmas and fall.
Okay.
So yeah, people are getting somewhat. If it's our business is somewhat seasonal.
Okay. Yeah.
Our what I call our meat and potato people, right? Our main customers. Summer comes, I'm not sewing, right?
Yeah,
You're out,
yeah.
you're about,
Out and
okay?
about. Yep.
So September comes, October right in now, October, November, this is the time when people are really
Yeah.
getting back into it, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Getting geared up for winter and
Right,
staying in.
right.
I
Yeah.
don't mean this to be a negative comment, but for those people out there who might be considering starting a business, there must have been a point where you said, oh, just don't want to do this. And what saved you, what made you keep plugging?
There wasn't ever an option not to do that.
She likes to win.
Okay. Well, no, let me go back. My aunt, let's go back to the beginning. My Aunt Maury, who was one of my, she gave me the opportunity to do this. She invested her whole life savings in this business.
Yeah.
That would
At
do it to you.
57.
So you
Oh.
didn't want to fail.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
Chris, what am I going to do? My
Yeah.
aunt, I was going to, so obviously I didn't want to fail. But what I would always say is regroup and think there has to be something you can do.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
might have to think out of the box. But, so to answer your question, Dala, I are there days I go home and I'm like this, oh my God, or, something happens or whatever. Yeah, there's like, whew. But what I do when those days come is I think back and I think how lucky I am. 40 years later, I'm in the same business who I never had a clue at 22 that I started that I would be doing this.
You seem to have all the requisites, I would say, of somebody who's a successful business person.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
you have the love of it. You've
Yeah.
got the passion.
Yeah.
You certainly work very hard at it, and you've been able to evolve with the times. And I think those are all key characteristics
Yes.
in a
Yes.
successful business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 She's a hardworking little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
And the last thing I'll add to that, Chris, is remember where you came from.
Mm.
yep.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
those early days were a struggle or hard, but,
I bet.
and I always say, maybe that's the yin and yang of me, you could always be back there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever take anything for granted. You could always, there could be something happen that you could be back in a place you don't want to be.
Mm.
And have you always been open 7 days a week from day one?
Yes, it's crazy. When we first opened, I was open. We were open 7 days a week, Thursday and Friday till 8. And it was like after a while, it's like, oh my God, learning, Madison and our business. and ladies, it's like, no, I don't think we need to be open.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're open 7 days a week.
And you've changed, like on your
Hours.
Sundays, you've changed your hours a little bit. and-
Yes, and that is like when we opened Sunday it was 12 to 5.
Mhm.
Everybody, they did whatever, and then they'd be coming at 12. Well, I'd go to the store sometimes Sunday morning at 10, and the people are knocking at the door.
Yeah.
Well, now people
Yeah.
get out early,
Yeah.
so now we switched to 11 to 3 on Sunday.
11 to 3.
Yeah, so just
Now-
change
now,
with the time.
Are you there every hour of
no.
every day?
Well, no, not necessarily, Chris.
In other words,
She knows what's going on every hour.
yeah,
and
well, I
every
was going to
day.
say, do you get some time off?
Yeah, I
Kayla?
do. I
Yeah.
do. I usually like to
Yeah.
have Sundays off for sure, and then
Okay.
possibly another day. But
Okay.
I'm still pretty involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
One
yeah.
of the things I heard you say that it's probably new age stuff, but you keep saying I'm grateful, I'm grateful. I think being grateful for what has come your way.
Yeah.
You're very upbeat.
Well,
I'm just,
you know,
Absolutely.
I was raised in a family to be grateful for what you had, because there's a lot of people that don't have anything. And we didn't have a lot as a family. My mother and father, and I'm raised with 6 children. Things were tough. My father, you know, was the sole provider. He worked well, but you know, there's always people that do not have what you have, and just kind of be thankful and give what you can give.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. Are we winding down, or we have a minute?
We have a few
We
minutes.
have a few minutes.
So
We have a
this
few
is
minutes.
this is a completely offbeat story, but going along that way. Back in the 80s, can you guys ever remember on the lawn those bears that were bent over with the fur, the black bears in the garden?
Yeah.
All right, so that was a big crafty thing. So one day this gentleman and his son came in the store, and he was full of sawdust. He didn't talk. His son, 10 years old, talked. And he just handed a piece of fabric to me. And it's like, do you have this? And I'm like, yeah, no, but I think I can get it, you know? So it turned out, and I will never forget this, the father could not speak, and he would write stuff to his son, and the son would talk. So anyway, he ended up, he was making those bears in the lawn, and bought rolls now, Chris, a roll of fake fur. I'm talking fake fur is that black thick stuff.
Mhm, mhm.
Expensive, you know, gave him a discount, bought him by the roll, bought him by the roll, bought him by the roll. Finally, towards about the 4th or 5th roll, the little boy gives me this note, and it's from his father. And it says, "Thank you for helping us. No one else would help us. I went to many
Oh,
stores."
chills.
Mm.
And I was like,
Wow.
Wow.
Quite a
you know,
story.
and it goes back to be grateful, but also don't judge. You know,
Uh-huh.
treat each person the way you want to be
Absolutely.
treated.
Mm.
You know, and I will never forget that story.
Yeah.
And every time I would go by and see a black bear in somebody's yard, I was wondering if it was
Wow.
his.
Yeah.
But you know, there's been some poignant moments.
That's a nice
along the
Oh,
way.
that is a
That
nice
is
story.
nice.
That
Yeah.
was
Very
one of the
nice.
things that my mother always said when they had their business.
Yeah.
Don't ever
Right.
judge a customer when they come through
Right.
the door.
No,
Right.
absolutely.
Treat every single
Right.
person
Right.
the way you would want to be treated yourself.
Yeah.
And I remember she had one older gentleman that was never very clean,
Mm-hmm.
and he used to come in and he used to buy classical music,
Yeah.
and he was the best customer. But if you saw him, you would probably think he was a hobo. But you treat everybody
Everybody.
Right.
with dignity.
Don't
Right,
judge a
right.
book by its cover,
You
Yeah.
said
right?
it.
Well, when
Yeah.
I first went looking for a mobile home before my current one, I wanted a double wide. This was 20 years ago now. And the guy told me I couldn't afford it.
Oh, I know.
Really?
Oh, I have a
Yeah.
story.
Mm.
Ooh.
And I looked at him, I thought, you don't know, maybe
Right.
I've got zillions in the
Right.
bank, maybe my mother's gonna pay for this.
Right.
You don't know that
You
about me.
just
Do I
can't
look
do it.
funny to
Right.
you? That's what you start
Yeah.
thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And you know,
wow.
then I finally bought my nice mobile home 20 years later. I wouldn't have done business there if you'd
Right.
given me the
Oh,
biggest discount in the world.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But Darla, I'm going to take it one step further. I bet you part of that was because you were a woman.
I bet you it was too.
Because where I was going with this is way
Yeah.
in the beginning, 40 years ago, Maury Beth and I were women business owners, and there were certain things that we wanted or whatever, and it was like I came up against opposition.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
I'm very happy to say more than likely that doesn't happen nowadays.
Well, not as much.
Probably not as much.
No. Beth and I went to buy a car when we needed one. This is back in 1979. So Beth and I, go look for a car. Went into dealership. No, bring your husband or your boyfriend back.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Wow.
and I was like, nope.
Sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was looking for my pontoon boat, my boss, my male obviously, we went into a store in the Augusta area, business, and the gentleman that was there, I was looking around and looking at boats, and Mike was just kind of standing, and he went up to Mike and said, "May I help you?" And he said, "Well, no, but she's the one that's interested in buying."
Yeah.
And I thought there was no way in
No,
Hades that I would go
no.
back
You
there
know.
because
Yeah.
he didn't seem a bit interested in talking to
No,
me.
Yeah.
And there's a percentage, women are the bigger buyers.
Hmm.
Well, most women control the money.
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
what I've found
Yeah.
in my business, But another, so that stereotype,
Yeah.
hopefully, is buried.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're not dealing with this anymore.
Yeah, you'd like to think it's buried.
know?
I think it's to a lesser
I think
degree
it's-
now.
it's right.
I hope.
Acknowledged
Yeah.
now. and
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I bet there's
Mhm.
still some. I think.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Another kind of, I won't say stereotype, but this is something I've found over the years. Obviously people coming in for machines, this is a big ticket item.
Mhm.
A lot of times they come in as couples. I have found, and sometimes men get a bad rap. That's just the
There
way,
you go.
the way
Occasionally.
it is.
Great.
Or
A
John.
bad rap of like, no, you don't need that. No, you don't need this. I have found
That's our taper John,
Yeah.
by the way, Carlo back there.
most times the gentleman is so supportive. Get it. I want you to have this. I want you to have this.
Mhm.
More than you would think.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the woman is like, and I just found that very nice.
Yes,
Very
yeah.
supportive. And a lot of times it's kind of funny. They're like, you get that machine, honey, and I'm gonna get my snowmobile.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's just it. There's a trade-off going on there.
Yes. Or a boat. If it's spring, it's the boat. If it's winter, it's the snowmobile.
Yeah,
So it's one of those things. but
Method
it-
to their madness
Yes.
when they
So
do
it's
it.
kind,
It's
it's kind of
stupid.
fun. It's kind of fun. It's kind of
Are we
fun.
running down out of time here? I did not mention that our station manager and today taper is John Harlow. He's been sitting and listening to all the words of wisdom, most of it. But I thank you very much.
Oh, thank
for
you.
being-
It's
we
been fun.
thank you
Thanks,
for being
Chris,
here.
Donna,
Yeah,
Paula.
been
Oh,
yeah,
this has
lots
been
of fun.
Yeah.
This has
And
been
the Fabric
wonderful.
Garden, we didn't mention, it's on Route 201 between Skowhegan and Madison.
And fabricgarden.com.
There we go. Good.
And
You can
YouTube,
still detect that New York
Ah, a little
accent.
bit.
A little bit.
little bit.
YouTube, Fabric Garden,
Yeah.
look, just go to YouTube and go to Fabric Garden.
Yeah. There you go.
Hey, can I mention future shows? We don't always do that here, but next week we'll be recording a show with our own Katie Willett, who's going to step from behind the scenes and reminisce about a number of things.
Oh,
Wonderful.
lots of
So
things.
Katie,
That's on what show?
now that'll be Now You Know.
Now You Know.
That's a
Yeah.
Now You Know, and then next month we have Christian Savage from Somerset Economic Development, and I believe that's going to be a keep and pace
Yes.
show, and that'll be on next one. I kind of like, we haven't done this before, but it's like coming attractions.
Yeah.
There we go.
So just to give you
That's
folks an
good
idea,
idea,
that
Chris,
we're
yeah.
always
Yeah,
working
yeah.
behind the scenes to get the best
There
show
we
on the
go.
air, right?
There we go. Katie?
I'd like to say congratulations to Irene Dumont because she got the gold head cane,
Oh,
which frankly was given to two people and they died.
Yeah.
So
Let's hope that's not the case here.
That's a risk when you're over
Don't come near me with that cane. Don't come near me with that cane. She was 101.
Irene lives alone on Spring Street and I'm so happy that she has the gold head cane.
101. Thank you, John.
thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
Day.